Welcome back, everybody. I'm probably going to repeat this in the next few films because there's some level of trauma. Oh, hello, cat. Some level of trauma to be expressed, but a lot of my recent model making extravaganzas have been frustrating, to say the least, in some way or another. So this one just took a long time, really. Lots of fiddly bits, and the rest of life got in the way. Then there's ones like this, which went alright, but I've then put all this packing in the back, but then I've got to add more packing, and therefore I've got to do a bit more weathering, and you end up with, you're just chasing your tail all the time. And the same with this one, to the point where I was going to, hello, Mrs. Meltdown's got a cup of tea for me. Pop mine on the book, please. Thank you. Yeah, I can't put it on the book apparently. You can put it on the computer, but not on the book. So yeah, this one, I haven't even made it recently. This is a reworking, and I've gone and lost all the panels that go on the side. And then there was that horrible Airfix Hurricane. So I need to do something to flush that all out. Something quick and simple and lovely and traditional, shall we call it. And you can't get more simple, more lovely, more traditional, or just more all-round epitome of your supermodel than this. An inaccurate, wonky scaled generalisation of a Stug III. Absolutely perfect. That's what we want. A sort of, you don't have to worry, no cares about, well, the phone's ringing now. No cares about, you know, sprocket accuracy or the wrong kind of nuts. This is just for fun. So I'm going to do it. Thank you for my cup of tea, by the way. And, oh, I just flipped it over, just for the sake of flipping over. But look, this is interesting. I remember the box art. In fact, somewhere I've got an early version of this box. I'll dig that out. Anyway, I don't know how the light is today, and I don't know how this is coming through on your computer. But this tank used to be completely green, and quite a strong green, which wasn't traditional. Talking of tradition, wasn't traditional for the Germans to paint their tanks all green. I'm sure it happened, but probably not a lot. Whereas now they've paled it up a bit. There's a lot more brown. In fact, ironically, it looks a bit like British khaki. And then on the back they've done it in the lovely sand colour. So they're trying to move away from that green as much as possible. I don't care, I liked it. I think the instructions in the old one even said paint it green, because I've got my original one, which I'll try and dig out sometime, and I painted it green. So there was a lot of green to this, and it looked good green. But because I'm going to keep things simple, I'm not going to argue, and I'm going to paint it sand colour, which means I've got to go over to the workshop and spray all the parts. We'll have a look at them before I do, because I'm holding back because it is a horrible day today. Wind and rain all day long. Right, let's have a look at the bits. And yes, the plastic itself was green, but it's not now. It's the lovely sand colour. So there it is, all in its package. I'll cut it open and get them out in a minute. And traditional instructions, pretty much. I'm sure there's a few amendments. And I don't remember the track going on the side. I thought there was some on the back. Spare track. But it was a long time ago, and I'm not that bothered. We'll do what it says. Yeah, the lust for life is coming back already. This is going to be ill-fitting, wonky, and brilliant. There we are. Marvellous. And what a marvellous top of the hull plate thing. It's basically wheels, isn't it? It's alright. I think it looks like everything's there. Bit of flash though. It looks like they've cleaned up a lot of the detail. But there's a few bits there. A bit messy. That's not the only one. That'll be alright. Hammer and chisel will get that off. This is worth it. A look though, isn't it? Look, $6.99. I don't know how long ago that was I actually got this, so probably a bit more now. And when I got it, they were 19.5p. Because I think this was a series one. If it was, yeah, because it came in a bag. And then it went up to I think 20, and then 25p. Those were the days. Yeah, this is getting expensive. The other thing is, I shouldn't be doing this at all. I should be doing a talk. Well, not doing a talk. I should be preparing for a talk. But sometimes you just wake up with a thick head and you have to make a model. And I had a talk the other day that was something of a fiasco. I think I'll do a separate program about that. I was going to launch into it, but I won't because it's so complicated. Let's get on. Look at that. That's the window with the fir tree. Everybody seems to have a fir tree around here. It must be a very furry area. I've got to go out in that. The sacrifices I make for my art. You'll love this. Look, oh, hang on. There's a mess in here and it's freezing cold and it's going to get damp. I've got to do something about it. I've been looking for those goggles. They've fallen down. Right, shambles time, but look. There it is. I won't try and squeeze it out. It's full of, I think it, oh, I'm going to have to get it out now and have a look. But I think it's full of shambolic bits and pieces. And possibly even old instructions to pad it out. But look, $3.99. It's nearly doubled in price since whenever those boxes were trendy. Didn't like them. Don't get your hopes up on too many of these. Revel. Time consuming and fiddly. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Anyway, I mean, what'd you do? It is really damp. Well, no, it's not. That's not true. It is not damp. It is not damp. It is cold. And it will become damp. And I've got to sort all that out. So I have got a spray paint, which is, talking of spray paints, right, we're going to go off on a tangent. I've got a spray paint. I'm going to have to get more anti-mould paint. You need a mask for that then, mate. Protection for 6 years, that's what I need. And I'm going to spray it into that lot. It will take more than one can. The trouble is, Homebase is shutting down in our area. It's shutting down in a lot of areas, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Homebase people. That is a terrible thing just before Christmas. Meanwhile, talking of just before Christmas, yes, I have been to Lidl. Oh, God, I was tempted to buy 2 of those. For various reasons. Anyway, let's spray that. Oh yeah, spray paint. This is a good ramble, this one. Over here. We are dealing with spray paint, and there was that terrible spray, and I don't know if I mentioned, somebody said, oh, you've got to tell us what it is, because it didn't go well on plastic. It's gone well on everything else, but not plastic. Just in case I didn't mention it, here is again, possibly, Easy Home, multi-purpose-ish, good on wood, I would say, and paper and card. And all of those kind of absorbent surfaces, not so good on plastic. Sapphire blue. Now I know what a sapphire looks like, right. And that is Aldi. Aldi. Lidl. Marvellous. Talk about subliminal advertising. Sublime. That's the word. Let's make the model. What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Don't worry about the work, mate. It's not in there. It hasn't been in there for about 4 years. But I kept the box because the box is handy. It's one of those glossy ones. It doesn't get so damp, you can put things in it. Good. Might spray things on it as well today. Yeah. Possibly the right one. Ish. Sand. 63. You'd think they would tailor their shades to, you know, what they know is going to be most common. And I like this. And I like this tank, so I'm going to spray it in a colour that I like. Here we go. I would go outside. I'm going to go. No, is it if it's rain? No, I might do. No, not good if it's windy. All right, I'll have to set something up in here. But first, an undercoat of what claims to be khaki. It's one of my favourite sprays, but it isn't khaki. I'll tell you that. Here we go. Khaki. Yeah, I'd call that sandy dust. And I do like it as a start point. First of all, as a base foundation colour, and secondly, to just get in to around the wheels on the chassis hull section, and just give it a bit of variety, mucky variety. And you were all shouting, that's not flash. You're absolutely right, it's not flash, it's actually sprue, gigantic sprue. And obviously I realised that when I was taking it off the hull, but I vaguely remember as I was hacking it off with an axe or a knife, I vaguely remember it, that sensation. It was all coming back to me. And you think, you can't remember that far back. I can, actually. And the gun, it's interesting, my mate had one of these. He was 2 years older than me or something. And I just was in awe of the fact that somebody had built a tank without a turret. And he took it apart, the whole thing, took the gun out and stuck it on top of the Land Rover that goes with the Bloodhound missile set, repainted the whole thing and turned it into some kind of mobile artillery piece, then took the gun mantlet and glued it back in without the gun, and it looked alright. So anyway, I went off and bought one. So I have good long memories of this one, and I have started to recall this. Oh, and by the way, I think I've still got that Land Rover with the gun on top somewhere in a box. I thought it was really good, like remodelling of the whole thing. I was very impressed. Right, almost time to do the actual sand colour, and it's moving on swiftly. No real problems. Even the tiny wheels aren't that tight. There's just this rear idler. This was my clumsiness. The spike that runs through them all, I snapped it off by accident, trying to untangle it from another bit of sprue. Waterfall. Anyway, there it is, coming along nicely. And of course, on the inside of the hull base, or whatever, there we have Airfix Products Limited, 1962. What a good year that was. Doctor Who, James Bond, the Beatles, plenty of other fine things. Well, obviously a good year for model design. Nearly there then. As for the paint colour, I did squirt some of that sand colour on, and it was the same as that. Sorry about all the glue, there were problems. And that wasn't what I had in mind, so I've gone over it with a lighter shade, another Humbrol one. I think it's called something like Pale Sand or something. I'll have a look, I'll check it. I think I will. So yeah, that was a mistake. So I've done virtually all the bits on the hull while the wheels are drying, and then I've gone back to the horror that is flexible track. It is track in general. And with the aid of super glue, I do not like using super glue, but it's come out fair. You can see the join, but then on the old Airfix ones there was kind of no way round that really. So I feel that's an artifact of the nostalgic process. And on this side, same again. Where was I? That was Mrs. Meltdown calling me because the neighbours have called to say, can I move the car, because the man has come to adjust the lights on the Christmas tree because not all of them are working. The communal Christmas tree, that is. The things us modelers have to put up with, eh? So anyway, this side I think is the better, although the join isn't so good, because this side is the one where I broke the spindle or the axle on the rear wheel, and the rear wheel has bent slightly under pressure over time, which is a shame. And also that idler's shifted a little. Never mind. So anyway, what are we left with? We are left with the tracks, and we're left with the aerials. They are the kind of fixing nuts that should go on the rear, oops, of the big wheels, but I'm not going to bother with those. The idea is that they turn and you can push your toy tank along, which we've discussed many times. I won't be doing that. For me, it's not a toy, it is truly a model. Hooray! So anyway, the tracks, or the spare track, it's an interesting phenomena. He says reaching, because he had everything in place, and then he had to go, and he sat down in a different location. He can't reach things now. So, spare tracks. Here we go. They go on the sides. Except I can't remember seeing any on the sides of these. They're usually on the front and the back. And then when you get to there aren't any at all, which suggests to me it's optional. But then here, they're on the back, on a peculiar thing, which I think I've only encountered once. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I could put them on the side as recommended, because we're making an ancient model, but then we don't get any of the markings, and I find that very unlikely. But I'm tempted to do it anyway, because we are reproducing an ancient model, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Wrong though it may be. Although I don't know if I can bear a Stug III without the spare track on the front. And while Mrs. Meltdown complains that she hasn't had time to put on tinted moisturiser and do her hair, I on the other hand have dusted up the wheels, bit of tyre, bit of mess, and highlighted the wheels and a bit of the hull, and done a bit of low lighting too, and dusted up the spare wheels. So I'm picturing this is a dusty tank. Dusted the tracks a bit too, so we are nearly there. Does it show up? Can you see? I'm all a bit wobbly, aren't I? As ever. Right, let's get the hull on, and I've decided I will put those on the sides because that's what it says. I am not mucking about. And there we are, the mighty Stug III in miniature. What an incredible tank, and what a really, knock things over, what a really archetypal model. This is model making almost at its finest. Just a couple of tiny little tweaks really, not many, not enough to make it in any way a negative. That was superb. I feel refreshed, cleansed, oh, all of that. Anyway, one thing you'll notice is there are no spare tracks, because I'm still wavering. Looks a bit bare at the front there, doesn't it? But Yes, mighty, mighty model making. Not by me, model design, model intent. And one of the reasons I'm wavering on putting the tracks on the side is because I've got some lovely texture on the colours. You thought I was going to say bunch of coconuts, didn't you? That cross has twisted. I'll sort that out. Don't know if it's visible, but there is. I see, I'm all about texture in the colour. Even when you have the most perfect spray job, until very, very recently when hypertech comes in, you rarely ever have the most perfect finish, and you only have to take something outside for a very short space of time and it becomes properly textured. The flat surface goes, and that is my favourite side. Blotchy. So it is weathering. This isn't day one. This tank is rolling off the production line. Even then they're usually knocked about a bit. So I'm reluctant. I think we're going to see something go on there. I think that's the future. I'm also a bit reluctant about the back because that's nice as well. But we could put something there, just like on the cover. So I think that's what I'm going to do after all. I like the markings down the side, obviously, but it's given a bit of life to the model. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Back in a minute. There it is. A bit too small, but it just wasn't going to go on the side for me. I've got the support bar the right way up, and I have been looking, and you do get them across there. You also get them across there, but I ain't getting it out with the spare wheels in the way. I don't know. So there we are with the spare track, and that's it done. And I really, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it more than I have a lot of models recently. Tragically, I'm probably heading for a few more silly ones. But let's get them out of my system, and let's. I've got a few nice, lovely easy isn't the word. I want to say primitive. Some very nice, straightforward models lined up too. So here is the first in a series of straightforward, clean and tidy, refreshing models. Thank God Airfix have been reissuing, because things could have been pretty disastrous, I think, of late. Somebody has put out I don't know if I said this already, somebody has put out a video on YouTube. I haven't looked at it yet, but something like, you know, this is why model making's going down the drain or something, or is this destroying model making? And it's an image of I can't remember, Second World War American twin boom model with all kinds of panels off and everything to be seen inside. And he's very much saying, you can see just from the title, he's very much saying, oh God, it's gone too far. It hasn't, because it's up to you. But I chose a lovely, clean and tidy little model. Thanks Airfix. Thank you for watching. This has probably gone on far too long, and see you again soon, possibly with something horrible and messy and complicated. We'll see if we get something out of it.